Get ready with me as I tell you my audition story for Six the Musical on Broadway. Where do I start? I was in college. The summer right before my senior year, my friends texted me because Six had posted that they were having an open call where you could submit a self-tape. I put it off for a long time because I'd never really submitted anything professional, but this open call, all they asked was for you to sing a pop song of your choice. I was already somebody who posted videos of me singing pop songs on my social media all the time, but I didn't even have any like self-tape equipment. I chose Jason's Song by Ariana Grande. Also at the time, I had heard of Six and I loved the soundtrack and I had seen some videos, but I didn't really know the queens too well. And when I chose this song, I didn't even have a particular queen in mind. I just wanted to sing for the camera. I found an old bed sheet, hung it from the tension rod. I was trying to sing the song and it was really hard for me because it was so high. And looking back at the audition tape, it's so awkward. I do a movement in it that I definitely meant to crop out and I just never did. And then I submitted it and I literally forgot about it. The beginning of senior year, Six the Musical was having an audition tour and they're coming to LA. I got an email from the Six team saying that they wanted to see me in person from my tapes. They told me to bring in a new song and they also told me to choose a queen for me to sing the song of. And I brought Get Back by Demi Lovato and I also brought in Don't Lose Your Head, Anne Boleyn. I've talked about this before, but I, at the beginning, saw myself as an Anne Boleyn because I was very influenced by Andrew McCassett because she's Filipina and she originated Anne Boleyn. I didn't even have my eyes on Howard. When they heard me do those songs, they gave me a call back for Howard. And I had never thought of myself as Howard. We were in a time in musical theater where I felt like going for roles that had not been previously played by Asians felt harder for me because it felt like my job was not only to convince casting that I was good enough to be in this role, but I had to convince them that an Asian could be in this role in the first place. It was my job to expand the imagination of how a role could be seen. That's just kind of what I assumed, which is the reason why representation matters so much. Anyway, I saw that Katherine Howard was originated by not an Asian person. I just assumed that that wasn't me. And it was the casting team and the creative team who saw me as a Howard. They asked me to bring back All You Want to Do. I went back, I did the final callback, I also did dance call. What's funny about that period of time, a couple weeks before, I had just finished my first ever professional theater production, which was a workshop for a new musical. Who was in that musical workshop with me? Abigail Barlow, who is about to be the next Katherine Howard. So that's how we met, which is so funny how everything works out. I also distinctly remember singing Don't Lose Your Head. I had watched a slime tutorial of Andrea McCassett and I copied all of her choices because I assumed that I was going in for a replacement of a role. And I was like, okay, if I can match her the best, then I'm gonna have the best shot at booking this role. But immediately after doing it, they were literally like, okay, so we can tell that you've watched a couple of videos and you did a great job, but we're really interested in seeing your own version of it. And I was so gagged. That was kind of my first lesson on people aren't interested in seeing how well you can mimic. They're interested in seeing how well you can be original. So anyway, that round of callbacks happens in LA. I don't hear anything from it. That's cute. Flash forward to May, April-ish, 2022. This is the busiest season of my life. I was competing in ICCA with my a cappella group. Also, I was trying to do my thesis. I was trying to direct a devised piece. We had just done senior showcase. And also, I happened to be going on a trip to Boston and I got an email. It was from casting and was like, hi, Kay, we would like to see you for a final callback in New York for Six. Long story short, I fly back to New York the following weekend. I do ICCA. We end up placing third. Again, shout out Scattertones. Also, the week in between Boston and New York, I was receiving messages from managers and agents and stuff who had watched Showcase as well. So it was just a crazy career part of my time. So yeah, I flew back from LA to New York to do ICCA, and on that same weekend I went in for a final callback for Six. I don't remember too much of it. I was just excited. They had me sing All You Want to Do, they had me dance. I was on my way back to LA to continue being in college, and I got a message from casting saying that they wanted to see me the following weekend again in New York. And so by the grace of my mom helping me buy plane tickets, I spent 4 days back in classes and then I went back to New York. And I did another round of callbacks. Now that year, I ended up not booking Six, but I did end up signing with my manager, Andrew, and he's fabulous. And then I graduated college, I did some travels, I started just working and getting professional experience. And in 2023, I got an email from my manager saying that the Six team had asked me to come back in for an audition boot camp in New York, in which they would fly me out, give me extra work sessions on the material. I was so excited. I was, in New York, living in a hotel for like, I can't remember how long, 3 days, 4 days. They gave us some extra love and help with our dancing. Also at this boot camp, I met Kelsey Watts, who is currently in my cast with me playing Jane Seymour. So there were maybe like, I think like 20 of us. I was just so thankful that they believed in me and wanted to, I guess, like invest in me. At the end, they did all of my audition material for Katherine Howard and they put it on film so that they could send it to the producers. I was so nervous and I wanted it so bad, and I had never put so much preparation into one audition ever before. Because there was so much buildup, I choked. At least that's how I would describe it. I couldn't be present. I couldn't get the monologue out right. Like my dancing was like a little bit clunky because I put a lot of pressure on myself. I remember walking away from the last day of the boot camp being like, I know that I could have done so much better, and I felt bad because they gave me so much preparation and so much extra help and I didn't deliver. I was so sad about it. I went back to LA, continued to do LA theater workshops, music things, a cappella things, day jobs. I worked at a box office, I worked as an MC. I was working as a music teacher. That was like a harder rejection, and I felt like I was done and I couldn't even listen to the soundtrack anymore. I definitely was in a mourning period with Six because I thought it was over. In 2024, at the beginning of the year, I got a DM on Instagram from casting for The Voice. Long story short, I go through the entire audition and interview process and end up getting chosen to be one of the blind audition contestants. And this was something so unexpected. I like wanted to do that when I was a lot younger, but then I went to theater school. This was a surprise to me, but I was so happy for the opportunity. We were filming all summer of 2024. As you may know, I did my blind audition. I got it onto Team Gwen. I made it to the second round, and in preparations for the third round on The Voice, called the knockout round, got a call from my manager being like, hey, the team at Six wants to see you again. Remind you, it is 2024. The first time I submitted for them was 2021. Like, it had been so many years, and I already was like grieving this show, and I'd already flown back and forth to New York for them. I was just like, wow, I cannot believe they still want to see me. Like, I kind of thought that it was over for me. But he was like, they would want to see you in a couple weeks in New York. I basically was like, let me let you know because I'm about to film my knockout round for The Voice in a couple days. If I don't make it to the next round, I will be able to go do another callback for Six the Musical in New York. If I do make it to the next round, I won't be able to go, and I'll just kind of let the results of the competition decide if I'm gonna go to New York or not. I end up getting knocked out. I was so grateful for the opportunity, but I was like, okay, great, now I know. I went straight back to my hotel room. I booked a ticket to New York. The following week, I flew to New York. It was the same people, all the same material. I was just like 2 years older from when they had first met me. I had done more professional gigs in LA, and I had just gone off of filming a literal vocal competition on TV. So my confidence was up. Also, I was kind of going into this callback being like, I have done this so many times. I can take the rejection if I don't get it. I'm not gonna put as many high stakes on it. And I did the callback, and I remember finishing the callback and going into the Gregory's Coffee next to Pearl Studios. And I literally wrote in my journal like, I think I booked it, because it just felt confident, normal, and it wasn't even about hitting all the notes and hitting all the points. It just felt like a rehearsal and not a callback. So I just remember going into that coffee shop and being like, it'd be so crazy if I booked it. Just remember looking out onto the street and being in New York for like the third time in the past 3 years for Six the Musical. Mind you, I was not allowed to talk about The Voice, and when I walked in for my callback, they didn't know that I was filming for The Voice. I do my final callback, forget about it. Come October, my blind audition on The Voice finally airs. And it's one of the coolest days of my life. My boyfriend threw me like a viewing party. So many of my friends came. It was a really big moment for me. I also happened to be doing a workshop for a new musical in LA that week. It was a really happy week for me. My blind audition airs on a Monday. That Friday, I get a call from my manager. I'm just at home. I'm getting ready to go into rehearsal for this workshop that I'm doing. He calls me, and I assume it's because he's asking me about the workshop, and I assume it's because he's just asking me about The Voice, because like, you know, already I was having a big week. We're catching up. And then there's like a little bit of a pause, and he goes, you booked Six. Screamed, and I fell to the floor. The journey had been so long, and I was so used to just like being seen and then like not really getting it, and wasn't expecting for that to actually happen at all. So to hear the news that I had booked Six and that I was going to be moving to New York to be in Six on Broadway from LA was the craziest thing to happen to me ever. And I am so grateful for everybody who supported me and helped me along the way. And what's crazy, the last round of The Voice that I was on was my knockout. I sang One Last Time by Ariana Grande. They put me in this pink glittery outfit, and my hair was in a high ponytail, much like Katherine Howard. I was singing an Ariana Grande song, and Katherine Howard is based off of Ariana Grande, and here I am now, sharing a cast with the most amazing people. Also, I think a big lesson learned is, especially for shows like these, it takes a lot of tries. I'm just really happy that I kept going. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be telling Katherine Howard's story every night. And I'm sad to be leaving soon, but you guys are gonna be in such good hands with Abigail taking over. And that's the story of how I booked Katherine Howard in Six the Musical on Broadway.